What's up, Facebook Live? We are at it again. This is episode 3 of Taking It Back. DJ R.O.B. presents Taking It Back. Yes, we're celebrating the history of nightlife and entertainment in Las Vegas. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for everybody. Over 400 and something people saw episode 1. 300 and something people seen episode 2. We didn't get to promote episode 2 because I was so busy that week to put the little teasers up, but you guys are engaging and joining in. Thanks for all the comments, all the questions. And you see that I said we, our little podcast broadcast tonight, we're missing somebody. DJ Frankie is in Miami right now. But I think through the magic of technology, we call it the magic mix of technology, I think I can summon him into the studio. So I just got to summon DJ Frankie, and I say, Frankie, please, can you join us in the studio via technology? Alakazam Magic Mix. Hey, there he is. There's Frankie.
I can't believe this. I don't understand how it works, but I'm glad it does.
Technology. Once again,
R.O.B.s.
Frankie's back.
It's actually R.O.B.ology.
R.O.B.ology. There's a little trickeration. There's a little algorithms and coherency theorems. Anywho, we're going to try to pick up where we left off. Also trying to engage in the comments and the questions. So if you have a question, put a Q in front of it and I can search for the question. And if you have a comment or a memory you want us to shout out, we could do that as well. There's one of our fans right now. Hi, Cookie.
Cookie, how are you?
Like I said, we're going to try to pick up where we left off. When we left off last week, Frankie was talking about rubbing shoulders with celebrities and his friend Steve Sharippa, better known as Stinky from The Sopranos. So let's go to that, and then we're going to get back into nightlife and tons of memories and tons of stories. So go ahead, Frankie.
I just want to go over quick things. Yes, we left off on the celebrities. We're going to get to AM and everybody, and we're going to go down a list. Just wanted to say a couple of quick things. Last week, Jose Too Hype, DJ Jose Too Hype, actually was the first to respond with the correct answer from our trivia question, which was, what was the first music video to incorporate all the elements of hip-hop? And it actually was Jose Too Hype who won that answer correctly first. However, we are on a delay, so we didn't see that right away. Rob's wife
messages are flying in, so it's tough.
Yeah, so I just want to say, Jose, that was a great answer. And for those of you who don't know, DJ Jose Too Hype, Jose is the first to bring hard house to the casino nightclubs. He was the first one to bring that sound, that hard UK house sound, to the nightclubs. He's been my partner in Studio 54 for years. So I wanted to bring that up. Secondly, real quick, one of my first DJ partners, Hypo Scott. We hear it's his birthday today. I just spoke to him 2 days ago. He didn't say a word about it. So happy birthday, Hypo Scott. And last but not least, I just want to say that the event is still on. Our August 20th Friday event at Rockstar Bar is still on. For those of you who are uncomfortable with it, please let us know in your comments, because there will be no restrictions on social distancing, and there's no 50% requirement, 25% occupancy requirement. It's still on. But we do want to hear your comments on that. If you're uncomfortable with it, please let us know. We'd like to see that. Now, getting back into the celebrities where we left off last week, Steve Sharippa, for those of you who don't know, is on the Blue Bloods, that famous television show Blue Bloods. But I think he was most known for being Bobby Bacala, gangster, on The Sopranos. Now, when he was the entertainment director over at the Riviera, he started out doing the comedy in the improv room, and then the improv room turned into the Riviera Comedy Club. Me and Rob would literally go there probably once a week. And we loved it. We were there all the time. But after talking to him about promotions and what we'd like to do and what we do, he got us on with this great disco event. And it was the Tramps. It was, sorry about that. I know I had to reach over. It was the Tramps, Sister Sledge, and Evelyn King. And this is what year, Rob? Do you remember? I think it was 96. It was 95.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And it was the disco dance party there. And it was a crowded event with these 3 iconic acts performing. And it was just a great party.
The title of the program was called Disco Dance Party?
Yeah, Disco Dance Party, if I'm not mistaken. I have
at the Riviera, 1995. This is actual footage.
Yeah.
Look at the DJ booth. There's Frankie, I believe, talking to your brother.
Vinyl. Using vinyl, you know? Yeah. Cassettes.
No Serato.
There's
no
cassettes
Serato yet.
that the couples. Yeah, there's the vinyl. It's probably Evelyn King or Shame or whatever. Oh my God, the Newmark mixer. I've never seen this footage since it was shot, and I'm not joking. So this is R.O.B.s footage. And look, the DJs used to have to, with the disco, you got to use your finger to keep it steady because it's no drum machines. It's no drum machines in that, so you're dealing with live instrumentation. So it was rough. But that was our event there. And the funny thing about it is myself and R.O.B.s, along with Richard Scotti, brought Evelyn King in 1980 to Jubilation.
There's the Tramps.
And for those of you, yeah, that's the Tramps. That's Disco Inferno was their big pop hit known around the nation and the world. Disco Inferno. They had many more that people in New York know and love. But for the rest of the world, they mostly know Disco Inferno. So it was the Tramps, and Earl Young, who used to be the drummer for them, is the one who started that straight 4-beat sound. Boom, 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 from the whole disco days that bled over into today's house music. So he's responsible for that. This picture is so great because the one picture when we are young, me and Evelyn King, is in 1980 when myself and Richard Scotti and R.O.B.s, it was R.O.B.s' idea to bring Evelyn King to town, and me and Richie got her booked at Jubilation, which turned into the Shark Club years later. So we took a picture then in the room, 1980, that picture is. And then this was, like Rob said, in 95, 96. That's my brother, Mike, behind me. He's at my house right now in Vegas with the kids using the pool. So I hope they're keeping the house neat. They're not drawing on the walls with crayons. But anyway.
He told me he's drinking all your booze.
But, yeah, that was us on one side is 1980 when we're young, of course. And the other side is actually at that disco dance party. And I reminded her of that picture from 1980 and showed her. But Steve Sharippa was nice enough to get us to make sure that event happened at the, we've been friends for a while, and he knows, hey, Frank, you're doing promotions and stuff. What do you think about this? You and Rob want to promote this thing and get involved? And we said, yeah, it was great. So we ended up doing that, and that was awesome.
You know what's crazy is if you brought Evelyn Champagne King in 1980.
Yeah.
It was 2019. Almost 40 years later, I brought her to the Silverton when we were doing the Old School Fridays with the big Gold Series concerts. Gold Series meant all the artists that had gold records. It was a great promotion.
Oh, it was
That's
great.
ironic that we are booking these people 40 years later.
You had Ohio players.
Ohio
yeah,
players
so that was great. And didn't you do the music for her that night?
She did need one of her tracks redone. So. Yeah, but
I remember you told me that. You had to redo one whole track or something.
Anywho, we're talking about the
anyway,
Riviera.
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. You did production because I also gave her production for that night. You know, the instrumentals. She didn't have all the instrumentals, and not every one of her songs did. But so we were involved in production, of course, not only from that day and before and after, but that was at the Riviera Hotel. We did a lot of things at the Riviera Hotel. And, of course,
Gabriel.
for those of you guys who remember the famous show, Splash. Splash was a Jeff Kutesh. Huh?
I was singing the theme song. Splash!
Oh,
Feel
yeah.
the magic
that's the
come alive.
great, one of the great posters from this iconic show. And this was before the days of Cirque du Soleil. Jeff Kutesh and Marty were great producers. They had shows at the Tropicana, Hooray for Hollywood. They had showstoppers at the... Huh?
Shout out to Ruffy.
Ruffy, oh yeah! Of course, Ruffy worked with Splash for years, then became one of the stage managers in charge of production. He started out as a dancer. He's great. He's a DJ. He's one of our pals for years, interested in all the stuff we're in. But over there at the Riviera, that show was iconic. It was ahead of its time. Break dancing, popping, the singing, the sets, they were way ahead of their time. And proof is in the pudding how long it lasted at the Riviera. And we did the music for it. And we were so pleased that Jeff came to us for that. Because back in the day, Jeff used to hang around the DJ booth when I was at the brewery and say, hey, can you make this little edit with Bad Girls and this and that and this? Years later, when Rob had the studio, I was like, wow, we don't really have to do it. The pause button cassette that edits no more. Rob's got the studio. Boom. We showed him a couple of things that we can do. And we produced a lot of the street tracks and the overlays, medleys. Really some great stuff that I'm proud of till this day for Splash. Stars would come to Splash. I mean, almost every star was there. They went to the big showrooms to see the big stars as well, but I can assure you they were here at Splash, and we got pictures of some of it. I know we have a lot of pictures of that stuff as well, but had a great relationship with the Riviera for years, great relation with Splash, Kutesh, till this day.
That was totally different experience as far as producing music for a production show. I was already, doing the remixes and the original records and blah, blah, blah. But when he asked us to do that, there were so many revisions, and I understand it now. It's like they got staging, they got timing, there's tricks, there's dance numbers, there's people jumping into water, there's motorcycles, and we had all this cool music where we did a lot of hip-hop influence, a lot of pop and dance music,
and Ruffy would
medleys that we made,
Yeah, I still use them. Ruffy would show us we need an accent. Remember the accents that we did in Staying Alive?
Mm-hmm.
And he was showing in one move they're going to put the arm up here, the next move they're going to put the arm up there. So we added in those extra accents because he would show us the choreography. So it was great. This is a shot, actually, of backstage at Splash one night when Gerardo was with us. Rico Suave. Got one kick Nick in that picture and all the staff. Sherry Berry in that picture. Yeah, Linda's in it. Linda Collins. Candace is in that picture. It's hard for me to see from here.
What's up, Nar?
What was that?
I said hi to Nar. Sal Napoli's here. Kevin Redwine. Reva Rice, dopest singer in Vegas. Sal Napoli. Gabriel. I'm just giving some shout outs because I keep missing them, as we go along. But yeah, we used to always bring guests. Since we did the music, we'd get tickets and go see Splash and bring friends and guests and go backstage and hang out. So this is one of those pictures of that night.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then, the Riviera, like I said, we did a lot of stuff at the Riviera. And for those of you who weren't lucky enough to party at the Riviera, and most of our crowd we're all old school. We've been there many times. But one of the big famous things about that place was it was used in Casino. They used that for the movie Casino. That's right. I mean, they used a few of them. The Landmark played the act as the Tangiers Hotel. I think the Landmark is what they used for that because I was on that set. But we were there every night. But the Casino of the Riviera is what they used mostly for the Casino movie. And I was lucky enough to read for a part called Tony Dogs. And I was so excited to get that part. It's the guy that they put on the table and they pop his eye out with the vice. And I was lucky I got to talk to my idols, Pesci and, De Niro. De Niro's not much of a talker. But anyway, it was a great story. I snuck on the set, no joke. And I heard them talking about that they needed cars, and I just butted right in and said to the guys behind the computer, "What cars are you looking for?" And they were like, "We're looking for this green Delta 98." And I was like, whatever it was. And I said, "Yeah, that was Spalaccio's car." And they were like, "Whose?" And I was like, "Spalaccio, that's who the movie's about." They didn't even know that. Make a long story short, called my friend Bo, and Bo Bellino. I got him on the phone and I said, "Bo, they're looking for this car. Do you remember we both saw one at the auction?" And you said, "Yeah, it's this guy's car. He's here every day." Anyway, Bo got the leading car of the movie, and he got two other Cadillacs that they needed. Brought him on the set the very next day, and everybody was like, "Wow, this guy pulled through. Who is he?" I got lucky that one of the wardrobe guys that day used to be in a new wave punk rock band here in town, Samson's Army. And he spoke up for me. "Yeah, everybody knows Frank." And that was it. They said, "Let's get this guy a reading." And Steve Sharippa already got a reading for a scene where he's in the booth when Joe Pesci stabs the guy in the neck. And they filmed that scene at the iconic Moulin Rouge. And he already had that part. And I said, "Steve, I'm going for this part." And he helped me out and said, "This is the casting director from town, Ray Favaro." And anyway, Ray got me a reading with this woman called Ellen Lewis. And she's a gigantic casting agent. And I got the part, she said, for Tony Dogs. I was so excited later to find out that the stunt department took it away from me because they said there wasn't enough work for the stunt department guys. But a great story on one of the nights that we were on the set. Me and Rob were on that set almost every night, if not every night. And Rob this was in the casino at the Riviera because a few of them, like I said, were at the the Moulin Rouge and stuff. But this is an actual scene of the joke we're going to tell you about. So Rob won about $300 on a slot machine at the Riv. Now, back in the day, for those of you old school people, which is most of you people watching now, you'd pull the arm of the slot machine, and if you won, coins would actually come out. Ding, 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 ding. Coins actually came out. So Rob was playing dollar slots. He had $300 in 3 of those racks, those plastic wraps that hold the metal coins.
Just so they know that this picture is Frank Vincent, one of the characters we're hanging out with in the casino, with the movie Casino. But this is the footage from Goodfellas where he says the famous line, "Go get your shine box," to Joe Pesci. And then Joe Pesci later kills him. Joe Pesci's character kills him. So we're jiving, we're acting like all Guidos with them and hanging out. And I, like you said, I ran off and went and gambled for a minute and finished the story. I come back with the big red cases of coins.
In this movie, Goodfellas, as Rob said, he insults Joe Pesci. He's been in jail for years, and Joe Pesci gets older, and he goes, "Go home and get your shine box." And Joe Pesci says, "Maybe you haven't heard. I don't shine shoes anymore." He goes home, comes back with the gun, and they beat him over the head with it and kill him. So that famous line started the whole reason for him to get killed. Anyway, we're there that night, filming Casino, different movie, same actor. And Rob walks up with the $300 in coins that he's carrying in the racks. And Rob does his Guido voice. He goes, "Look at this, forget about it, I just won." And Frank Vincent, this character and actor, says, "Maron, what'd you win there?" And Rob goes, $300. He goes, "Hey, it ain't even worth carrying for $300. And Rob says,
You want me to say what I said? I said,
"I'll tell you."
Well, go get your shine box. Maybe it'll fit in there. You can carry it home. And then everybody laughs. But I just stole the line.
Cracked up. And he was mad. He kept giving Rob gangster looks like, "All right, you outdid me." You know what I mean? It was hilarious. I mean, I'm telling you, everybody laughed. It was funny. So we still bring that line up till this day. Go get your shine box. We say it for anything now because it got such a rise out of everybody that day.
But of course,
that was a great one.
We do get the luxury of brushing shoulders with celebrities, hanging out, either through the DJ nightlife thing that we've done or the remixes for artists. We end up in these scenarios where we're with artists. And you had an early scenario in your career where you actually hung out with some artists. Tell us about this picture right here.
Yo, you got it. Well, being in the entertainment business, like Rob said, DJing, just entertainment, hanging around the casinos where there's showrooms, you're going to rub shoulders with stars. But this was at a young age, 1975 in New York. My cousin, Peter Joseph, was the head band at the famous club called the Copa. And one night, I sat in with them and played the drums a few times. When we would go there, my family, he'd let me play a song here and there. It was usually Evil Ways by Santana. I would sit in and play. But this particular night, he called up my mom and said, "Aunt Louise, get Frankie out of bed. The drummer's wife had a problem with the pregnancy. She was supposed to give birth in a couple of weeks, but he had to go to the hospital tonight. We got the Angels performing tonight. We got no drummer." They rehearsed all week, or for the last few days, whatever it was, maybe just a few hours, I don't know. And my mother wakes me up out of bed and says, "You got to go down and play the drums." So I played with the Angels. Their famous song, for those of you who don't go back as far as me, is "My boyfriend's back and there's gonna be trouble."
Hey now, my boyfriend's back.
So anyway, I sat in and played with them. And I was able to fake everything, read the first page of music, just knew the beat and the tempo, and I didn't even read the rest. I had to turn the pages every so often to make it look like I was reading. And I got by that night. But when me and Rob met, we had so much in common, not only the DJing and the music we liked, and we were both drummers, but I bring it up to him, and Rob tells me, "I got a story like that too." And what was it, Rob?
Well, this is a good one. This is 1982, 81. My sister worked at the hotels in the waitress industry, hostess industry. Believe it or not, the Gap Band came in to eat. They were going to do a show that weekend. They came in a few days early to rehearse and do their show. Everybody remembers the Maxim Hotel. There was a lounge there, small lounge called Cloud 9 Lounge. And the Maxim booked the Gap Band. So she meets them because they come into the restaurant, and she ends up flirting with them. Next thing you know, maybe they're flirting with her, and they were talking about how hot it was in Vegas, this and that. And she said, "Why don't you come over and hang out at my house in the pool?" So maybe they were trying to get over on my sister, who knows? But they ended up coming to my house, and next thing you know, they're in the backyard swimming in the pool. And, I'm playing music. I always have music playing in my room and this and that. And then she overhears him saying, one of the members of the Gap Band, I don't know if it was Charlie or whoever it was, saying, "We might have to cancel the show because the drummer ain't going to make it. He's sick," or something happened. They're not going to have a drummer. They might cancel. And they had seen this little scrawny white boy when they walked into the house and went to the pool in the backyard. But my sister said, "Hey, my brother's a drummer and he knows all your songs." And they're like, "Yeah, right, whatever. We're going to have to cancel the show." And she goes, "No, why don't you go listen to play the drums?" And ironically, I was in Sounds of the Sun, and Outstanding was one of the songs we played in Sounds of the Sun, 82, 81, whatever it was. And so they came in the bedroom, and I put the track on, and I played the drums exactly to it, and they were tripping out. And then I played a couple more songs, and they said, "You want to play with us at the Maxim this Saturday night?" This was like a Thursday, so we had a couple days to rehearse. They were staying at the Circus. I remember this, and I had to go with the drums, rehearse, and they stayed at the RV section because the RV section had that little country club room where you could rehearse and have all that space. And we ended up rehearsing, ended up doing the shows. And I told them that I usually do the drum solo out of Outstanding in the band that I was in, the Sounds of the Sun. They said, well, you can do it on this one. I did the drum solo and everything. I remember my parents came, my sisters came. It was crazy. That's a crazy story.
That's a big one. That's a big one. I was impressed when I heard that. I mean, come on, the Gap Band, they're in my top 5 R&B soul bands of all time. East Coast, West Coast, I don't care. I love the Gap Band. So, I mean, I'll be honest, my very first introduction to the Gap Band was Burn Rubber. And I didn't know about their earlier stuff in 79 and 78 till I got into them when I liked them for Burn Rubber. And then I found out, wow, they were doing stuff already? Because it wasn't promoted in the East Coast. I give Rob the credit for turning me on to a lot of West Coast funk. You know, in New York, the East Coast funk was like, Parliament, Funkadelic, of course, Kool and the Gang, Ohio Plays you heard. But outside of that, it was more of like Fatback, and it was more BT Express. You know what I mean?
I was telling someone that story today. The guy from the Rockstar Bar, Bones Munson, shout out to him.
Mm-hmm.
He thought that I was from the East Coast too, and I said, well, what made this combination unique was Frankie had brought all this East Coast influence with the dance music that we didn't really get out here, and then I was always going to LA and buying the electro. I was bringing the electro stuff back, like the Wrecking Crew, Dr. Dre's first group, Egyptian Lover stuff, and we were playing it at That's Entertainment. So this mesh of the East Coast versus West Coast music stylings kind of meshed together, and everybody enjoyed it because at that time Vegas was a melting pot anyway, so they loved a little bit of both.
It worked out perfect. The things that happen in the universe, I gotta say, I don't think a lot of them are coincidence, and that's one of them I do not believe was a coincidence. So he turned me on to a lot of West Coast funk that I wasn't aware of.
I just found this picture. Tell them about this. Tell them about this picture.
Okay. This is a great story. This is a really good story. So we went to the New Music Seminar. It was this music seminar that they would do it every year in New York. And I used to actually help give articles for this magazine called Dance Music Report, which was owned by Tom Silverman, who owned Tommy Boy, which the shirt Rob's wearing is Tommy Boy Records. I always wanted to be affiliated with that magazine and that record company and this particular seminar that they would do it every year. So we were there, and of course Ice-T was there because everybody in music went to the seminar. There's a lot of great stories about this. When Melly Mel grabbed the award that went to the West Coast because there was that West Coast, East Coast thing just starting far back then. Anyway, this is one of those great stories. So me and Ice-T were talking each other's ear off at the bar, and 2 days later we leave to come back to the West Coast, and Ice-T's at the airport, and he's on the same flight. So we see each other in the airport, and we start talking. Me, Rob, Ice-T, and Eva Lee, his DJ. We're all talking, and we're not near any people. We're near an empty counter. And we're talking, and of course, in New York, we use cuss words like, exclamation point and question marks. Yeah, everything is doop, 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 doop. We curse like crazy.
I got the exact same picture standing next to him. I should have put it in the timeline, but I got the exact same picture.
And then there's one of us with Eva Lee and everybody.
Right.
So. But anyway, so we're talking that night, and I got the gold chain on. Rob's got his R.O.B. chain. I got the Frankie chain. And Ice-T's got a gun hanging from his chain. So we're talking and we're cursing. We're doing a lot of cursing. Yeah, this jerk don't know that, and this effing idiot doesn't know this. And we're talking. This little guy comes up to us. He has to be my size. And he comes up to us and he goes, "You guys better watch your language." And I was like, why? What are you talking about? And he said, "I'm a police officer." And I looked at his ID and I went, that doesn't even look real. I'm a police officer from, I don't remember what state. You have no idea, right?
Nope.
Well, it was from out of state, obviously. And I was like, listen, there's no reason for you to come over here. There's no children around. There's no women around. We're cursing, that's it. He goes, "Oh, really? We'll see about that." And he runs over to 2 New York cops that were about 100 feet away. He brings them over to us. The cops say, "What's the problem here?" I said, "Nothing, officer. We were talking, and he came over here, and he said we were using profanity and offending people. There's nobody around." The 2 cops look at each other and laugh, and they say to this guy from out of town who's showing them his ID that he's a cop somewhere else. The cops look at us, they look at him, and they go, "Sir, maybe in your state there's a law against profanity, but in this state there's not, and there's nobody around. They're not offending anyway," and they walked away. And the guy got so mad, we all started laughing. He walked away and went to the counter to complain. But Ice-T was telling me, yo, calm down, man. I'm on parole or whatever, I'm on probation. And he was like, calm down. I said, I'm not, there's nothing. The cops are on our side. There's no problem. There's no problem. But the guy went over to the counter and ratted us out. And the people from the airport come over to airport security and tells Ice-T, we're sorry to do this, but you have to take the gun off your chain. And Ice-T says, the gun off my chain? Why? It's a gold gun. Well, it could be real, and people on the plane will get scared. There's a tiny bullet in it, and it's real. He was like, oh, man. They made him take it off. And he kept just telling me, calm down. So what? Just let them take it. Let him take it off. And they took it off, and he landed in L.A. because they were nonstop. That was not a nonstop flight. That was not a direct flight. Excuse me. Yeah. So he got off in L.A., and we said hello and goodbye, and we'll be talking to each other. We were on the same record label. We had Def Con out, and he had Dog in a Wax and You Don't Quit. And he was on the same label, Macola, and that was it. We kept in touch since then, little by little. And then we got to know him even more and saw him around town when he was working with Paulie Mack with his stuff, doing shows at the Shark. And then, of course, now that he was a big star, we saw him at Taboo. I actually saw him in Atlantic City doing shows. So peace out to Ice-T. He got along real good with us.
He was from the East Coast, but he made his fame from doing the West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
But we followed all that, and we played all that. And then we're going to go into some stories.
Yourself.
Let's go to the stories of some of our production credits and stuff. Here's a picture. Another Vegas artist I produced, and this was on Profile Records. We talked about Profile Records in the last couple of episodes. Of course, Run DMC made that label famous, if you ask me. And I produced this song for a local artist named King J. Shout out to King J.
It was real good. The track underneath it was Get Up by One Way.
Correcto.
And they had Push and, Dance, Let Your Body Move, You Can Do It. They had a lot of hits from the disco era and doing funk. And, of course, Cutie Pie is their gigantic one. But this was such a funky groove. I love that song. As a matter of fact, it was my 12-inch that you used to
sample it.
Exactly.
I think I might have found the CD by then, but who knows. Another shout out we got to give is to Biscuit. So, of course, in the Dino days, we already talked about this story. Guess what, Frankie? I talked to Dino, and he's going to be on my episode in a few weeks. So
that's great.
That's going to be a good one. We're going to talk all about Vegas.
Dino was a local personality on the radio with us. He was in the Magic Mix crew with us. He produced Def Con with us. Then moved on to Summer Girls doing his own music and also jazz, as we said. He still produces. But when they were doing shows, Biscuit, he was a security guard. And he ended up being a security guard for some of the biggest acts in the business. Probably the biggest was the New Kids on the Block because he ended up being in their cartoon. The New Kids on the Block did a cartoon trying to be like the Jacksons when they had their cartoon out. And he was even featured in the cartoon. His image, his voice, and he had a few songs out and Rob produced them. And they were really good. Rob did great production on it. So this was some more cool
when he said, Columbia said, they want me to do an album, and I was already hanging out with him. He'd already moved to Vegas. We became friends when we were on tour he was doing like all the West Coast stuff for Digital Underground. That's when we met. He actually gave me the Digital Underground's first record. Anyhow, he ended up doing the bodyguard thing and then actually became a celebrity. And Columbia said, he's such a character, we should do an album for him. So I ended up producing like 6 or 7 songs on this album. Donnie Wahlberg, speaking of Blue Bloods, he produced a song on the album because that was Marky Mark's brother. He actually produced Marky Mark's stuff, which I ended up doing a remix of Marky Mark's stuff. Oh, the stories go on and on. But shout out to Biscuit. That was a fun project. Another project me and Frankie worked on. This was a big label. Madonna owned this label. Didn't Madonna own this label?
Yeah, Madonna owned that label. It was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. Our friend Tommy Nappy from New York, a very well-known DJ who is a radio DJ and a club DJ. He also worked for Warner Brothers, Motown, Atlantic presently, Polydor. He worked for everybody. He's really, really well-known in the New York dance industry from the label side, from the club side, radio side, you name it. But we've been friends. My friend Perry Stassi introduced me to him years and years ago, and we've been friends since then, and I'm talking 1978. So Tommy, now being a big shot at the record label, said, listen, there's a couple of remixes we got on this song, and they're all right. I'm not crazy about them. You guys think you can do a good old school one? So me and Rob listened to it. We came up with tons of ideas. we could make
And
this
that
piece
was
sound
some
like,
serious production. I wish we could play that track, because if anybody
oh,
listened to it, they'd swear that there were samples in there, and I reproduced every sound. I mean, we made it sound like the Cutie Pies and the Bounce Rock Skate Roll and the Low Down and all that. And even the label was like, these are samples. And we said, no, they're not. You still got to clear them because you're reproducing music, but it's not a copyright clearance. It's a different type of clearance. That's a whole nother story.
she paid $3,000 to Boss Skaggs Low Down because they didn't believe that it was that we reproduced it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. They thought that we really played Bounce Rock Skate. We showed them the difference. They really thought it was Low Down. She ended up paying them just to, shut them up. But we went out of our way to show them, no, we produced this. Now, when Rob did it, I know I'm getting technical now, and that's not usually me. I sound like Rory right now, DJ Rory. But there's a Juno, this old school
Juno 60.
keyboard. And back in the day, when you got the sound right, if you left it overnight, it might move. It might change on its own. You got to record right then and there because you got to move it like a knob on a radio. And it doesn't stay there. It's not like you're dialing in number 73 and 73 is going to stay there. It's a knob. But the sound it put out was so great. That's such a great, warm, old school sound. Anyway, Rob had it perfect. And I promise you, it sounded exactly like Bounce Rock Skate, the patch. And it also sounded like You Plus Me by Undisputed Truth. Yeah, so anyway, it was a really fat bass sound, and we produced that. As a matter of fact, my voice is on it saying, Cleopatra, coming at you. It's my voice on it, but it's also DJ Twin. DJ Twin's going on, what does he say in the song again?
Coming at you.
No, I say
no,
coming at you. He says,
all right, y'all. He does something, what is it?
Yeah, all right, y'all. Yeah, all right, y'all. Something like that. So he did the mellow backtrack thing. I did the Coming At You, and it was great. Tommy Nappy and the record label said this is the best mix. They repressed a whole new 12-inch series, and it was ours. And I was so happy about that because I think that was the first major label we worked on. Profiling, although we consider it a major label because all the great hits they had, Tommy Boy, and those were independent underground labels that mainly were, distributed in New York. This was Warner Brothers. It was a big deal. So anyway, that was one of the many that we did, but that was a good story. And there was a lot of stars who came out of Vegas. We're talking about Biscuit and Steve Sharippa, but there were so many stars that came out of Vegas. Of course, many people know 702 and all that, but Crystal Method. If you guys don't know Crystal Method, you might know them by this name, Scott and Ken. Okay, now Scott and Ken were the DJs on Friday night at That's Entertainment. A lot of people say, when you do That's Entertainment reunions, you don't do the new wave stuff. And I say, no, the new wave stuff was Friday night with Scott and Ken. So for those of you people who did not know that one of America's #1 electronic groups is Crystal Method, and you didn't know that it was Scott and Ken, now you know. That's those guys. And we're still friendly. We still talk as well. Ken is living in Costa Rica. He's got the life of dreams. He has a great amount of land. He does all kinds of organic stuff. He still does DJing parties at his house on a weekend. And Scotty still travels under the name Crystal Method. They are thinking about doing a big reunion tour this year.
Shout out those to guys, Ken, Jordan, and Scotty, and another Vegas DJ who broke into the music industry.
Mainstream. Big time. This is DJ Chris Cox. And Chris Cox came from Reno, lived in Vegas, went to UNLV, and then ended up in LA because his productions went so big. He was part of an electronic dance group called Thunderpuss. And back in the day when CNC Music Factory was doing all the pop dance hip-hop remixes, they were doing all the high-energy dance remixes, house remixes, known as Chris Cox and Barry, and they were Thunderpuss. Now Chris Cox is living in Vegas again, so therefore we took advantage of this because me and Chris go back so many years. He worked for me at many clubs back in the day, but this is me and Chris collaborating on a song with Crystal Waters. We wrote it, we produced it, and I said, wouldn't it be great if we can get Crystal Waters to sing on this track? And he said, I know Crystal Waters. I've worked with her. He said, let me see if she's interested. He let her hear the track. She called me on an iPhone and hummed, this is what I'm thinking. And she hummed, she hummed the hook. I said, man, that's great. This is us doing the music video for that song. By the way, it went #1 in March of 2013. It was the #1 dance song on the Billboard dance chart. So that's me, Crystal Waters, and Chris Cox on the music video. That's myself, Crystal Waters, and R.O.B. as he was doing the recording in his studio. because everybody knows he's OCD as an engineer and producer, and he made the sound great, just like we wanted it. So that's actually Crystal singing the track. It wasn't a pose. We were recording as she was singing. We were taking pictures, and we were lucky enough to get a #1 song out of it. Very happy about that. You know, this is some of the big things that came out of Vegas, and there's more. Like I said, 702's from town as well. And of course, we all know the Imagine Dragons now are from here, and so is the Killers. So this town is no longer the land of the dead and dying. You put all the old performers, playing here to older audiences. No. We have some new blood that's really topping the charts all over the world coming from Vegas now. And this is a blast from the past of some of the things we've done on the way moving up to getting to Vegas where it is now.
When we were bringing the multi-list of the clubs that were involved, and we doing the brewery and the lipstick and the Uptown and the Mr. G's and the drink and the shark and the fuddy duddies and the tramps, and the list goes on. One thing we forgot to mention was your little endeavor here with 2655. Look at that. Tell them about 2655.
This was the first underground club to be a club. There was raves going around in the city. Maurice was doing some great stuff called White Chocolate. He was a rave promoter. DJ Shu was doing a lot of great promotions all around different places in town, playing the rave stuff. And there was a handful of people. There was a Big E, Eric, doing the show on KUNV. There was an alternative scene of punk rock, new wave, and house music. But I particularly tuned into the techno side of house music, and I was getting some good techno. And then Rob said to me, listen, I'm going to do hip hop in this room, in one of the rooms, but I got a friend in Germany in the military, and he said he can get the best techno. And the guy sent me a box of about 35 records, Rob's friend, and it was awesome. That's Sandy, Anna Free and his sister Ellie, me and Rob. And this was from 2655. My club was in Commercial Center, my second club to be in Commercial Center. I had the city in Commercial Center. This is the interior of the club. It looked like a Twister dance floor. And we had a fence up because it was 18 and over. So if you bought a drink and you were 21, you had to go behind the fence and drink it. The weird thing is that's where we met Gerardo, correct?
Yeah, let's go into that, because 2655, I had already met Hugo, and Hugo, better known as Mr. Smooth, was a dancer. God, for me to remember how I met him, he's going to have to come on the show and remind me. But we did meet because I was in the dancing, going back and forth to L.A. He's famous for dancing in the Michael Jackson videos, the Lionel Richie tours, and he was the dancer for Gerardo. So everybody knows Rico Suave. When the music video came out and the tours came out, he was dancing for him. He was in Captain EO. What else?
He was also an actor. He was also an actor famous for the movie Colors that Ice-T did the rap for.
Rico Suave, Gerardo
was. And Gerardo was the one who kills the star, Robert Duvall, at the end of the movie. He's laying on a mattress with his girl. Yeah, Colors.
But speaking of 2655, Hugo brought Gerardo 2655, and we met, and we ended up getting close as well, and that's how I ended up doing the production for the production for Gerardo. He knew that I did the Dino stuff and the Biscuit stuff, and he was confident that I could do his album, so I did one of his albums. He ended up moving to Vegas, and his family even ended up moving to Vegas, so shout out to Gerardo. Here's us shooting one of the videos for
here's the thing. When we all became friends and we started talking about what we could do, and he trusted Rob's production, and then he trusted Rob's suggestion, Rob said, you should let Frankie direct your music videos. He said Frankie directed a movie, and it was a short film that won all these awards here, there, and there. He did a music video for L36, Larry Lantieri, and he showed him my video for Larry, L36, that me and Mikey did, and he showed him the Christmas Payback movie. I did a film in 1996 or 7, a short film, 15 minutes, that won me first place in a couple of film festivals, third place in a couple of film festivals. And Gerardo said, yeah, Frank, let's do a music video. So we did 3. I ended up doing 3 for him, well, maybe 4.
Here's the best Durumbe album that I produced, and then the first single from the Durumbe album was the Durumbe song. Durumbe means like terror or calamity. It's like when everything explodes. It's some kind of slang term, but I think I got some footage. I got some footage of when you actually were shooting the video. Here's back scene footage of shooting the video at Club Rio.
The Rio. And the Rio was great. They let us put his name up on the sign out front. They put it on the big sign for us to video. They were so great. Tony Marnell was great, the owner. Took my phone call personally and said, great, man, just put a napkin with the Rio name on it, put our Rio sign in it, and that's all I want. And he gave us the casino players. We actually did scenes on the roulette wheel. Rivka was actually in the video. Sherry was in the video. Some of our friends from town, some girls who were in shows and stuff. And they let us take control of the Rio showroom, as well as the casino itself, doing the 21 table and the roulette table. You know what just hit me that never hit me until today? We actually shot the Oh Mama Hey video, one of the Oh Mama Hey videos,
same room
in the Rio also, in the same room. I didn't even realize that till right now. But anyway, this was great. This was only one of the many scenes. This is a back scene because the video, of course, edits every 2 or 3 beats.
I got more backstage footage, but I didn't put it all in the thing.
Look at the camera. You see the camera on the arm, on the jib arm. I don't even know that you had this footage. I really didn't.
Yeah, I didn't know until I was going through an old camcorder. But let's go to, we're going to show a little scene of one of the other videos he hired you for, and I went on because I ended up starring in the video.
This was the most fun video I've ever done in my life.
And I'm only going to show up till when the song starts because, of course, copyright. So let's see a little of this. This is kind of funny.
Explain.
Yeah.
This is in Tijuana.
Yes.
Yo, ¿qué pasó? Excuse me, hey, Rico Suave. Hey, what's up, yo? Yo, check it out. I'm with the Gerardo Show, man. Here's some flyers for the after party in the bus. You can come too, no problem, man.
No.
Whoa, hey, get out of here. Yo, G, we gotta cancel the show, man.
What are you talking about?
It's gang members in there. It's crazy. Give them back their money. Let's get out of here.
You know how much this bus cost me? I ain't giving back no money. Just go out. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it, all right? Oh, right there. Just go.
It's time to raise the roof. It's time to raise the roof.
There you go.
Okay. Now, that was a lot of fun for so many reasons, but I'll tell you a few right now. First of all, Gerardo and Rob had the idea of showing that Rob was a scared white boy nerd who was one of the promoters for the party, but because he was so scared being in Mexico, they're all gangsters, I don't want to go in there. And he made the thing like, Gerardo, they're all thugs. They're all thugs. Now, for those of you who know Jose Too Hype, I spoke about him early. He's the gang member at the top of the stairs who acts as a bouncer who kicks Rob in the butt, and he runs him down the stairs again. And the whole concept was that Rob was scared and nervous. And then in the middle of the video, he starts getting into music and dancing a little bit. And then at the end of the video, he's going crazy, grabbing the girl, bending her over, and smacking her booty real hard.
I got that. I got the whole footage, but I'm not going to play it because it's hilarious. But it's also embarrassing. So I'm not going to go all the way.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was so great. Here's the strange thing. When we got to the border, they stopped us. The police stopped us, and I was like, oh, no. Gerardo said that everything was going to be smooth. What's going on? And Gerardo said, Frank, this is the captain of the police. He's going to give us an escort in. And it was like 5 motorcycles. They didn't check the trucks. They didn't make us use film crews from Mexico. They didn't make us use cameras rented from Mexico. They just brought us in like we were the president. And I was like, wow, Gerardo's got it like that here? And he did, obviously. And it was a great, great shoot at a club called Baby O.
Oh Babies or Baby O's or
Baby O, I thought it was called,
like
but
that.
it was a great trip.
But this relationship with him, doing the production, doing the videos, and then he ended up doing some shows. And here's us on stage at Paradise Island Disney in Florida. There's me in the background DJing and dancing. I found this footage. This is old footage on stage DJing while he's performing. But we're
and
going
of course, once again, we got a lot of hits. But his big hit, of course, was Rico Suave, but he had many.
We're actually performing that song on that scene right there.
Oh, that's great.
So, Frankie...
That's Rob with the glasses.
Yeah. Frankie had mentioned earlier doing these entertainment projects that he did his own movie. Here's a little footage of that. Talk a little bit about that.
Right. What had happened, because this film won awards, myself and Dino did this movie. I wrote the story, and me and Dino produced it and directed it and cast it and scouted the locations. And we won first, second, and third place in various film festivals around the nation. It took second place in World Fest Houston out of 5,000 films. It took third place in New York at the New School, which they used to do that TV show from, the director's studio, whatever it was called. And this is the film. It's Christmas Payback. It's about a guy who's down and out. He used to be a Santa Claus. Now he's just a drinker. He drinks heavy and walks the streets. And the kids in the neighborhood recognize that he used to be the Santa Claus when they were kids and sit on his lap. And they show you him all desolate now, living in the house. That's why we show black and white. It's all desolate. And he goes and gets his bottle of wine every night. But one night when he leaves to get his bottle of wine, it looks like they're robbing the apartment. But they're not. They actually take out all the junk, and when he comes back, it's decorated with all brand new stuff in a Christmas tree. Like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah, if they're interested, they
and
can.
You can see it online. If you
yeah,
guys
it's on
want to
YouTube.
see it,
just type in Christmas Payback, and you'll find
award-winning film. You got to type in Christmas Payback award-winning film, and it'll come right up. You'll see the whole 14 minutes. It's only a short film. But that's the film that Gerardo watched, and he told Capitol Records about me, and they trusted me to do 3 or 4 music videos with him. So thank you, Gerardo, and that was some great stuff.
I see your comment. K-Wine, Kevin Redwine made a comment talk about the UNLV class DJ performance. Yeah, I mentioned that last week that I went to UNLV and they asked me to speak at their hip hop culture class. We're going to get to that in a couple minutes, and it's some interesting footage there. That was fun. But we're going to move on with, what was we talking about? Oh, your movie. But thanks, K-Wine, for the comment. We're going to get to it. Trust me.
Okay, I don't even remember where we went from that. Let's see.
We're off the cuff. It don't matter. Oh, we're going to talk about the city, the whole city, with our influences, the nightclubs, the hip hop that we introduced. Concerts ended up getting cooler. You're starting to see hip hop acts come to town, and maybe we influenced that, maybe we didn't. Frankie's got a couple stories. Of course, Frankie's got many stories. Talk about this.
Well, this is Run DMC. This is their second time in town, and this is at the Thomas and Mack Center. I think the year was 87. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because they came to Mr. G's for the after party.
Right, and that's what the best part of the story is. But anyway, Hurt 'em Bad, once again, he brought them to the Hughes flight deck, a small little room at the end of the strip on the little airport there. And we brought them there in 1983, right when they came out with Sucker MCs and It's Like That. We brought them right out. We had 700 people there. We thought it was a great success. Jam Master Jay carried about 20 records in his hand with no covers or sleeves. He was just carrying them and shuffling them like a deck of cards. And he had the Big Beat in there, Billy Squire, and he had Planet Rock in there and a lot of other great stuff. But after that concert, George and I wanted to hire him again for this event at the Thomas and Mack Center. And he called us up. Russell Simmons called me personally and said, Frank, Mike Schiavo wants to do this group, and he's going to pay a lot more than you guys because he's not only bringing Run DMC, he's bringing Public Enemy, he's bringing Houdini, and he's bringing Dougie Fresh. So I got to give them the show. And I was like, oh, man, we were putting our money up for this, and we were hoping to make some good money on it. He said, listen, I'll get you the official after party. You tell the promoter that you're going to be the MC, and you're going to also do the after party. And because I was already the MC for Schiavo, and I'll explain that in a minute. But we did the after party at Mr. G's, and it was great. And before we get to that, I just want to veer off and explain. Mike Schiavo was like the big companies now. We got Live Nation and AEG Live that sell all the tickets for the gigantic events. But back then, it was a smaller town, as we all know, or a smaller town that we all loved better because of the way it was run, from the casinos to the concerts to the clubs. Anyway, Schiavo was doing a lot of events in town, but he was doing rock-oriented events. He was doing Bon Jovi. And I did the Gap Band with George Luster, who actually booked him. He booked him at my club, The City, in 1982. And the Gap Band was ready to play in 3 days, and Mike Schiavo called and had it canceled and said, these guys do not have a rock promoter's license. Now, Mike Schiavo writes about a few of these things in his book called Promoter. And he mentions my name, DJ Frankie. He doesn't say Frank Annabelle, and he fails to mention that I'm the one who turned them on to the whole hip hop and R&B concert scene. Because he came to me and he said, you think the Gap Band will be able to fill the Artemis Ham Hall? And I said yes. And he booked it, and they packed the Artemis Ham Hall. I was just in the audience watching that night. But after that, he trusted me, and he asked me if I wanted to give him some other, groups to book. And I told him the Beastie Boys, and I told him, of course, Run DMC, Public Enemy. I gave him a whole list of everybody, and this is how Run DMC came about for that particular concert.
And this was the first time we had heard this animosity or this type of East Coast, West Coast beef thing happen. You know, we're not talking about the Tupac Biggie. We're talking about 10 years before that. Tell them what happened with the...
Will, but don't you remember I was mentioning earlier that Melly Mel robbed the rap award from a West Coast rapper when a West Coast rapper was going to win it at the New York seminar. So we knew that there was a little bit going on, but we didn't know. We thought it was personal. We didn't know it was about East Coast and West Coast. And now it was starting to become clear that there was a battle going on with East Coast and West Coast. A lot of things come out of New York. Rap is one of them. And New York felt that they didn't want to give up the reins of being the rap kings. So when West Coast rappers were coming out, they were talking a lot of crap about them. So the LA Dream Team were friendly with me and Rob. We told you that story already when we did the show with the at the Troubadour. And we were friendly with these guys, and they loved Run DMC, and they came to see the concert. They sat front row wearing their white suits. And I gave them a plug. I was the MC for the concert at Thomas and Mack Center. And I said, we got the LA Dream Team in the house. And they stood up in their white suits. And when I announced Run DMC, I actually said, are you people ready for Run DMC and Jam Master Jay? And they all screamed. And Jay was happy that I mentioned his name in the announcement. So they all run to the stage to grab the mic. I'm ready to walk off stage. And Jay pats me on the back. I thought he was hugging me for saying his name. And he says, yo, why'd you give those LA suckers a plug? And I felt like an idiot. I was like, oh, man, what did I start now? I'm a New Yorker. What's up? Anyway, they get behind that DJ booth that you saw that Rob keeps showing. Jay got behind there, rocked the show. I got off the stage. And afterwards, we all end up at the official after party at Mr. G's. It was packed.
I was at the concert, and I had to rush because I was DJing at Mr. G's. You see, I'm going to bring them over there, and then they showed up. It was great.
Yeah, it was great because I had to take them to the room first to change. And I was like, oh, I hope they don't take long. And they didn't. It was all great. I put them in my Eldo, which was small, but we all fit. We were laughing and talking about things. But when we got to the event, the LA Dream Team is there also because they loved them. And Rob goes up in a booth and he starts doing all his tricks and his routines. And he did his It's Time trick and they were bugging out. Then I did the
Peter Piper. And
he ends up,
for the DJs that are doing it now,
Piper.
Everybody juggles Peter Piper. Jazzy Jeff's got a famous routine. AM had a great routine, but I was juggling the Peter Pipers, and Jam Master Jay was itching. He let me get some. I said, hold on.
Well, he didn't even get up in the booth till you did it.
Yeah, but when he started standing behind me, getting closer and closer.
Right. So Jay gets up in the booth while he's rocking it, and as soon as Jay's up in the booth watching Rob, seeing what he's doing and cutting it up, he's giving him props. I mean, Jay was a very good DJ. He did cool stuff, and God rest his soul. But if you're a real DJ and you know how it goes, Rob was killing it. Rob's tricks were advanced and he was doing some really good stuff. He's done the same thing with Dr. Dre. I think we told that story already. Mm-hmm. When you would showing Dr. Dre some unbelievable tricks at the Troubadour. But anyway, we told that, I'm sure. So Rob's cutting up Peter Piper and Jam Master Jay's in the booth and he gets on the turntables and LA Dream Team comes up to me and goes, yo, man, we want to get up there and say hello. So I was like, well, they do know Rob. Oh, man, is this going to be embarrassing? What am I going to get into now? But they walked up in the booth. They told Jay how much they loved him. I was looking up at the booth. Jay and them hug, and Jay ends up playing all three of our records. He plays Def Con. If I'm not mistaken, it was Tricky. I think he played Tricky. Run DMC Tricky. He played Def Con, and then he played Ladies and Gentlemen. The dream team, the dream is in the house. So he played all three of our songs. They hugged each other, and at least I think me and Rob put the fire out that night on that particular East Coast, West Coast hatred. It was a great night. I wish we would have all took pictures.
Let me remind you, we're almost an hour in. Thanks. We got a bunch of comments I'm going to try to get to.
You got to do UNLV and the AM story. You left off last week saying AM.
Well, I'm trying to. We were going to talk about that first rap. Maybe we'll skip that. Let's go to... well, Richard Scotty, we're going to get back to you on that story.
On the first rap, yeah.
Yeah. What had happened was during this whole life of DJing and being music directors at clubs and running nightclubs and promotions, we started getting recognized by the local rags, as you say, the magazines, your Las Vegas Weeklies, your 7 magazines. And then that from the 2000s to the 2010s, they were calling us icons and they were calling us pioneers. So want to talk about that?
Yeah, really good stuff. I mean,
winning the awards and such.
It was great. There was awards that we were winning. There was pats on the back from presidents of almost every hotel. Everybody wanted to talk to us about what should we do and how do we do this better and is this going to get bigger and blah, blah, blah. Rob, I love that article. Rob said some great stuff in there, not only about music, but about life as well. I love that particular article there, Right On Beat. By the way, I named him that, Right On Beat, because he is. But anyway, good stuff. That was another. Was that 944, this one?
Yeah, Digital Tony.
Oh, Digital Tony. Oh, so that was weekly then. Then that was weekly. But yeah, every week, there's no exaggeration. We were in an this was a Lifetime Achievement Award. You can see me crying when they give those Light Knife Achievements Awards out. It's usually when it's over. Your career's over. Let's give them a Lifetime Achievement. So it was a Lifetime Achievement Award, and they gave me a doctorate. That's the Key to the City. I got the Key to the City from Oscar Goodman. I had tears in my eyes. I was so happy. It was presented to me at that's the proclamation connected to the Key to the City on the bottom. It explains what I did that they felt I deserved to get the Key to the City. When I got the Key to the City, Rob said to me, "Frank, you got the Key to the City. You know what that means, right?" I said, "No, Rob, what?" He goes, "It means the whole city's changing their locks."
That's right.
So that's what he said that day, and we still use that line too. This is when they actually came and presented it at Studio 54. That's Mike McDonald and Scooby. He's his name is Rick, of course. So Rick, that we know as Scooby, and Mike McDonald, that we knew as Flash back then. Now he's a big politician. And that was the Key to the City they handed me. And I was with Candace Carroll and Mike Milner, who were the directors at Studio 54. I was so happy. He told me I was going to get that. That's an award they gave Rob. What were those called? The 90s?
That was the Vesper Awards. I got that on my shelf right here.
Yeah.
2003 Vegas Vesper Awards. Favorite hip hop DJ. Oh gosh, we got so much stuff to cover.
But you got to do AM at least, man, because last week you said you were doing AM. You can't.
I know.
You got to tell them the AM story.
Let's talk about this first. So far, we're all steams ahead. Reunion 2021, Friday, August 20th.
Right.
It's only a couple of weeks away. Rockstar Bar on the Strip, great parking, $10 pre-ticket sales. Don't forget, get a pre-ticket sale. Let me go to...
I'm glad you're reminding them about that because it's $15 at the door and it's $10 if you buy the pre-sale online. You should do that. Now, a lot of people were saying if I get a table, do I still have to pay at the door? Unfortunately, we have nothing to do with the bar or the table sales. I'm just making sure that people get the booths that they want. As far as us, we paid money to rent this place out. We got our own production fees and security and all that. We only get the door. So unfortunately, you got to pay at the door as well as putting your front money up for the table. But this place, with its free parking and it's only $6 to $9 drinks and the burgers and the chicken wings, everything is cheap. So it's really worth it. Believe me, who can go out nowadays and go to an old school event and actually pay old school prices? This is like 20 years behind. There's no parking fee like downtown, and everything is very cheap. So we hope you support us, and we hope that doesn't turn you off too much. And like we said at the beginning of the show, there's Robin AM. I'm going to let him go with the Sam story because we can't.
I'm going to make it real quick because we're an hour in, and I just want to give shout outs. All the DJs have much love and respect for DJ AM. How we met and how his life ended and everything in between is a good story. It involves Serato and music and friendship. The funny thing is I was the music director at the Rain nightclub, and being music director, we'd have people who do private parties, and they put me in charge of booking a DJ or me DJing it myself. And I found out this is like 2002. They said VH1 is having a party inside Rain, and we might need you to DJ. I said, great, VH1, that seems like a cool crowd. Then I find out, VH1 booked their own DJ, but we still want you there to help them out, hook them up to the system. Some guy named Adam. and I think his name is DJ AM, but he's Adam Goldstein. I said, okay. So I go to the sound check. I see this chubby guy with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. I said, this guy, this is nonsense, whatever. I go say, hey, what's up? You need any help? He's got his turntable set up. He starts, sound checking with Want to Be Starting Something, Michael Jackson, 2 real vinyls, no digital stuff yet. And he's going, I mean, he's doing incredible stuff. And I'm like, damn, this dude is dope. And we end up chit-chatting. I tell him my history, and he's tripping out. And we end up exchanging numbers, and I end up booking him. He wasn't really booked anywhere. That was the first time he came to Vegas, and he did a private party. And then I ended up booking him out at the pool at Skin. He was like a headliner, and then I booked him in Rain a couple of times. Then he got the residency at Pure, as everybody knows, and got close with all the Vegas DJs. He was close with all the LA, New York DJs. Just a well-respected guy, eclectic DJ. Everybody knows his credentials, and DJing with Travis Barker and doing the big festivals. Great guy. When Serato came out, in 2003, early 2003, I went to see Jazzy Jeff.
Serato is a digital format that lets you play a record still, but you don't have to have records. You don't have to have your crate of records. It makes them all a digital file in case people don't know,
I'm going to explain what it is. Anyhow, I went to see Jazzy Jeff at Pure, and he was using this new thing called Serato. And everybody said, oh, this is some software. It makes you cheat. It's mixing for you. All it was a tool with a real vinyl on a real turntable that sent time code. People in the movie industry know time code is how you reference where you are at point in time in music or film. Beginning, middle, end, numbers, minutes, seconds. So that's the basic invention. But I was sold on it when I saw it. And then I talked to AM. I said, I finally saw it. I've been hearing about it. Jazz used it, and it's incredible. And AM said, yeah, I'm hearing the same things. We both got Serato the same day. He actually bought a brand new laptop, and I told him which one to get, and I bought the same one the same day. I was already ripping all my good vinyl, because when you had the Crooklyn Clans, all those custom remixes that we had that weren't available but on vinyl, it wasn't on CDs and digital yet. It was just for vinyl DJs. And I was already ripping that, meaning turning them into digital form, because I knew somewhere down the line we were going to either be recording or producing or doing mixes on software and maybe DJing on software if it came to be real reliable, which Serato was. So I ended up telling him I have like 2,000 songs already ripped, all that classic stuff that we all know and love and that we all use. And so I gave him that. He came over one day, gave him a whole hard drive full of stuff, and he had other DJ friends, so everybody was getting their libraries together. But the Serato thing was huge. The AM relationship grew from there. He had the plane accident, and he wasn't the same. His character was a little different. He kind of got laid back and subdued. It became strange. And then
a lot of people might not know what happened with the plane. Explain what happened with the plane. They don't know.
He was in a plane accident. He was doing a show with Travis Barker, and they were flying over the Midwest. I'm not clear where they were.
But there was only 2 survivors.
Yeah,
there was
the
only
plane
2
went
survivors.
down. They were sitting like the back seat. The plane broke in half, engulfed in flames. They both got 3rd, 4th, 5th degree burns all over their body, but they both survived. And everybody knows the story of if you're a survivor of something, you have this, I don't know if it's a guilty conscience thing, it's a mental thing, and they have breakdowns. Travis had it real bad. AM had it bad. I'm not going to get into the details of other things in his life that it affected, but it did change his life. He ended up getting the residency at Rain. And I remember one day, we called it Fridays, DJ AM Fridays, and I was home with a client doing some recording stuff, and I got a call and said, you might have to DJ the whole night tonight because AM, we think he missed his plane from New York. We can't get a hold of him. He didn't come off the plane, and he's supposed to do the show tonight at Rain. I said, okay, I'm prepared to do the whole night. I'll call one of my guys in to help me out. I get back to work. Next thing you know, my phone is blinging and ringing and texting. And we come to find out that he died, overdosed in the hotel in New York, never got on the plane. And the Palms owners called me and said, Rob, we need you to do a speech. We need you to write something out on behalf of the Palms and on behalf of Rain Nightclub. Where we want you to make it so we can send it to the AP press. We got all these people who want a press release from us. So I was in charge of writing a speech and went that night to Rain. 2,000-3,000 people at Rain thinking AM was going to be there. Some knew, some seen the news, some people didn't. At midnight, we stopped the music. Now, this whole story, you could see it. It's on YouTube. If you say AM Tribute, you'll see where we stop everything and people give props, the phones come up, and it turns into a party after that. But everybody wanted to know a little bit about the AM story, so that's a quick version, only because it deserves more time, but we don't have a lot of time in this episode, and if people are more interested, we can get more into his talents, what he's brought to the DJ stuff,
Well, he was groundbreaking. He got so many people into party format again, the open format. He wasn't scared. He didn't have to just play house because everybody was playing house, or he didn't just play the pop and hip hop. He played all in one set. And they called it party rock, and he started that term. We were doing that for years in Vegas because that's how we played. You played rock, you played pop, you played hip hop, you played it all. That's us one night at Rain. But he was a great guy. But I wanted to bring something up that Rob forgot. He said the first time he heard him when he hooked up, and you had to hook him up. The first time we heard him was in L.A. at Bruce's club.
But we didn't know who he was.
We didn't know who he was. And here's the thing. The guy, my friend Bruce Perdue, who owns a lot of clubs in L.A., he said, you got to hear my DJ. He's real good. So I said, he told us to tune into his DJ. He's a heavyset guy in the booth. And he was doing a ton of tricks. But to me, everything he was doing, half of them were good, and half of them, they weren't precise yet. So I said to Rob, I don't know, man. This guy should be practicing in his bedroom and not doing that till he got it perfected. And Rob said, you're wrong. That stuff is real hard. If he gets that down pat in another month or two, he's going to be a killer. And I was like, I don't know. We'll see. And Rob was right. The guy was great. But when I seen him again in Vegas years later, he lost all that weight. I didn't even know it was the same guy. Mm-hmm. And then Rob told me, that's the same guy. Because Bruce came to see him when he was at Rain. And Bruce is my friend for years, running promotions in LA. And he said to me, what do you think of AM? I said, I think he's great. He goes, you heard him a long time ago at my club. I said, when? He said, the guy in the back who you didn't think was that good. I went, oh my God. And I brought it up to Rob and said, yeah, see, remember I told you. But anyway, he was a great guy, and they made a documentary on him that was on HBO. He was a DJ for that new wave group called Crazy Town. He was the one doing the scratching in that "Come, my baby, come, my baby, be my butterfly, come on," whatever the words were.
He's the DJ for that. Introduced me to Jazzy Jeff, and we ended up getting Jazzy Jeff as one of our residents, and me and him still keep in touch. That was the night after AM died that we did a tribute night, and it was DJ Premier and Jazzy Jeff and myself, and this Club World magazine took a picture of us and wrote this little article about how great that night was. That's that. Now, we're about an hour and 10 minutes in. I'm going to do the UNLV thing. We'll talk about the Bahamas. We'll talk about all of this stuff later.
And Richie's thing in the fight with the twins at the city next episode. Okay, go into UNLV.
What happened was, being involved in the nightlife, and everybody knew me for the hip hop stuff. The instructor, Theodore at UNLV said, we have a hip hop culture class. I said, really? He said, yeah, it's part of the arts and science, hip hop culture. And I want you to come to the class and talk about how hip hop influenced you, hip hop influenced the city, influenced commerce, movies and marketing and everything. So I went to UNLV. Now, you can find all 5 episodes of this long class that I did on YouTube. Maybe I'll put the links in afterwards. But here's a little thing showing me at UNLV's 702 Weekly, which was part of Las Vegas Weekly. They came out there and filmed it. And this was the teaser for it because it's about 2 hours long. So this is just like a 2-minute condensed thing of me speaking at UNLV. But I digged in deep about the history of hip hop, and these kids were appreciating. I brought the turntables, did some tricks, explained a lot of stuff, everything, all the elements. It wasn't just about DJing. It was about the graffiti, the break dancing, and everything. So check this out.
So without further ado, I would turn it over to the international known and locally respected DJ R.O.B.s.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to give you a history about me, and like I said, the hip-hop culture and all the things I've been involved in.
Hip-hop music and culture is just that. It's about hip-hop and the culture of music. Unlike a traditional music class or a rock and roll class, this talks about some of the social elements, more of a social science class. We get into musicology, which is the DJing section. We also get into rap, which has more of communication dealing with rhetoric, talking about the emceeing and rapping. The graffiti has a lot of visual rhetoric and visual deconstruction elements. And of course, the very first element when it talks about, or b-boying, b-boying has a lot of nonverbal communication.
But when I really took hip hop serious, this record came out and it blew me away, and this is what transcended me into hip hop being very serious. And this was The Message, Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel, MCing.
For the most part, in order to understand a history of anything, whether it be music, sports, you have to know where it came from and where it started, because once you understand the beginning of something, then you can kind of take it and understand where it's going.
This was the dance crew that I was telling you.
One of the really good things about Rob is he has experience in all four elements of hip hop. Of course, the graffiti, the DJing, the breakdancing, and the rap.
He was one of the main pioneers before hip hop took off in the city.
The whole culture has shaped, developed my life, and I'm grateful for it.
He has a love and a passion for hip hop, and I think that's what's important, and that's what's important for the students, to see someone who loves hip hop and who's actually made a living doing something that they love, and I think that's kind of important for all of us.
They just know that this was an art form, and some people have took that art form and made a career out of it. Maybe it gives them some motivation.
Shout out to Trent, DJ Max Live. He was actually the cameraman on that thing, and we had already knew each other, so that was great. That's how I ended up getting that footage from them.
You know how great it is that a college course has, they're talking about hip hop as a college course. I think that's awesome.
And them kids knew.
Back in our day when you recorded the visuals of the HBO beginning, their logo, and you scratched Good Times underneath it, and I was like, oh my God, they did something, a hip hop show, what's going on? And you were like, nah, I just did that track underneath it. I was so excited to think that maybe a big company like HBO would, expose what we were into on the street level, and now it's becoming mainstream. Here it is years later. You're teaching it in colleges. It's in every movie. It's on every commercial, Burger King commercials, you name it, car commercials. I think it was great. What Kevin said, too, your friend Kevin, was so true. He was saying that basically I say the same thing. I always say to properly navigate the future, you must thoroughly investigate the past. And he said that, and I do believe that, not because we're all school people, not because most of the things we accomplished were in the past. It's because every general does that in war, and anybody smart should do that. To properly navigate the future, you must thoroughly understand the past, and that's how you move forward properly. So,
and that's
I'm so happy that end this class.
We did another hour and 15 minutes. Thanks for the comments and the messages and the memories. And we'll remind you one more time, we're leading up to the reunion, which is Friday, August 20th, 2021.
Free parking.
Got free parking, great parking, right across from Town Square Mall. Perfect location. That's 2 weeks from now. Get your tickets.
Yeah.
$10 pre-sale. Anything else you want to say before we leave and I make you disappear back to Miami?
All right. I think that's. I think we did a good job. Even though look at this, everybody. Watch when I touch Rob. You ready? Oh, my arms. Oh, it looks like it's behind you.
Don't show him. Don't show them the trickery. I'll bang your head.
Oh, what are you doing?
All right, Frankie. You say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Rob. It was fun.
All right. Peace out, Frankie. Go back to Miami. Now, he's gone. I forgot to send him away. I forgot to push the button. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. All right.